Hey y'all, welcome to Culture Cult. My name is Marie. I am the host of the show, and this is a show where we are on a mission to learn about every country in the world. But I also do that by telling y'all the craziest story from that country. But today, this is a travel story episode. And my friend Andrea is coming on because she ended up experiencing the worst pain in her life while drunk abroad in Japan. And we got to hear it. This is also a super good episode for anyone who's curious how they can start traveling the world and getting paid, aka becoming a digital nomad, which is such a buzzword nowadays. And I know everyone on Instagram sees people traveling everywhere and they're like, how the hell are y'all doing it? Like, do y'all have jobs? Yeah, they do. But the question is, how did they get the job? So this is a great episode on how to find a remote job or start your own business, and which is actually a better option for you. Because saving up money to go backpacking and then hustling back in your restaurant or retail job for 9 months straight, it's fun, but it's not really realistic long term. And then if you work at a corporate job and you only have 14 days off a year to go on vacation, not even traveling really, vacation, and you can't get sick because you'll use your PTO, that's absolutely unacceptable. So today, let's talk about how you can start getting paid to travel and have the freedom to go travel whenever you want and still make money doing it. So let's get into it. I'll start off with an easy question. Which country was your first travel love?
Oh, okay. I want to say my study abroad country because that's the first time I've actually experienced real travel love. And that was Japan. But the first time I fell in love with traveling again, I guess, was my first trip back to my home country. That was a life changer. I think that's when I realized, like, shoot, this thing is really fun. I kind of want to do it more.
And your home country is Peru, right? For everyone to know.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mention that. Yes, I'm Peruvian. I was born there and I lived for about 5 years in Peru before moving to the U.S. So I immigrated to the U.S. when I was quite young. So a lot of it is still like vague memories. But going back the first time was when I like rediscovered it, like as an adult, semi-adult. I was a teenager. And it was just, wow, it was wild. It was different. I did speak Spanish, but it was very bad. As I realized the first time when I went back and all my cousins made fun of me. But yeah, I just realized like how interesting my culture was. I always knew I was cool for being Peruvian, but I didn't know how cool.
Okay, so like, let's say someone doesn't really know much about Peruvian culture. Like, what's something cool about it that you think makes Peru special?
First off the top of my head is we got bomb-ass food. Like, we got really, really good food. It's world renowned now, but back in the day, nobody knew what it was. Like, I would talk about Peruvian food and people would be like, what is it? Tacos? What is that? What is, like, tacos? I was like, no, that's not, we don't eat tacos. But I'm glad it's getting its, like, recognition now, because before, when I was younger, like, it was not a thing. Not at all. But I'm pretty lucky to have been born and raised in a very Peruvian way, despite being in the U.S. My mom was like one of those types of moms that like cooked at home every day. And I was always the immigrant with the weird lunches. But, my food was better than their box pizza. So whatever.
Yeah. What else do you think like really stood out to you on that trip where you were like, this is such a special culture?
I was just amazed at like the resilience too, because I would say economically and just politically, things aren't great. I don't think they've ever been great in Peru. It's never been that good. So, but the fact that people are still like so happy and so family oriented, and you always find a way to have fun. Like, I never stop laughing when I'm over there. Like, people are just so freaking funny. I was like, how are you like this joyful and happy when things are like this bad,
Yeah, I think that's like a commonality in a lot of countries that have like bad governments, bad economies, is like the food's fucking amazing, the comedy's incredible, and yeah, like I feel like those two things really stand out in cultures that like are deprived from like a nice government, No offense to Sweden.
Yeah.
But y'all have a very nice government, and no one ever really says Swedish people are funny or that your food's really that good. So it's just kind of like, if you have a good government, you don't really get good food.
Yeah, you
You
can't,
can't have both.
You can't have the bomb food and
if you're
stable
America,
economy.
you have neither. So I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Don't tell me that. I'm crying on
we
the
have
inside.
good food in the South. Okay, so let's jump to our next question. This is just like a fun little segment I'm trying to add into the podcast. So it's Fuck, Marry, Kill, but country edition. And I won't say, let's not kill a country.
like
so let's do Fuck, Marry, Friend. And you can translate this however you want. So your countries are Mongolia, Brazil, or Madagascar.
Okay. Brazil. Brazil's meant for a good time, but not a long time, you know? Maybe I'd marry Madagascar.
Why?
I feel like he's a small country. He's underappreciated. He'll know how to treat you right.
Yeah, but he's also like has so much.
It's my reasoning.
So much behind the doors, like so much to do on the island, so much to see. Like he has a lot behind the doors, I think.
Exactly. I feel like Madagascar would surprise me. And then Mongolia, I'd friend because I think it's really cool. And it's kind of funny because I should identify more with Mongolia being a digital nomad. The fact that there's a lot of nomads there and that move around. But like, I don't know. Like I was listening to a lot of your Mongolia episodes. Super interesting. The Mongolian family, love. But like, I feel like, yeah, we'd be good friends.
Okay, interesting.
We'd be good friends.
Okay. I think I'm going to completely reverse it all. Yeah.
Oh, really?
I think I'm not going to fuck Brazil. I think Brazil thinks he's hot shit and he always gets girls. And I feel like he's going to underperform in bed. I think Madagascar is going to pull in dating and in bed because, yeah, like he doesn't get as much of a chance sometimes. But then when you do go visit him, you're like, this is the best fucking place I've ever been. Oh. Versus Brazil is the pretty boy.
Eager to
Brazil's
please.
the pretty boy. They're just known to be sexy. And like sexy pretty boys usually disappoint. I'm going to marry Mongolia because I am a nomad. When I was interviewing the nomads from Mongolia, I loved their lifestyle. Like they do have a home in the winter months, but all the rest of the time they're moving around the country and they build their home and then they take it down every like quarter.
Yeah,
the yurts. Thank you. Yeah,
right?
The yurts. And I love how like you get 3 to 4 months in one place, and I love like the action of the whole family building the home and then also taking it down. And just all the family time they have is so special because they're all in one house, but they all are always outside and you have horses. And I like the lifestyle. I like, and I feel like I would feel very safe with the Mongolian because of their past as the Mongolian Empire. I know they're fierce. So I'm going to reverse.
That's an understatement.
That's an understatement. Fierce is, yeah.
If you haven't listened to the Princess Kudalum episode.
Literally. Oh, yeah. I would definitely fucking marry Mongolia if they produce people like that. So my answer is marry Mongolia, friend Brazil, because I would love to have a good time with them. Man, we would go out. And I would fuck Madagascar because I think it's more of a wild card. And you're going to repeat yours again?
Okay, I'd fuck Brazil. I can't help it. I'd fuck Brazil. And then I'd marry Madagascar and friend Mongolia.
That's like the more traditional route. I think most people would agree with that one. If you want to learn more about Mongolia and hear about the Mongolian nomad lifestyle, I actually had the amazing privilege to interview real Mongolian nomads. So scroll down a few seasons ago and check out the Mongolia series. And if you want to hear about a bad bitch princess who conquered every man in the Mongolian Empire, definitely check out the Princess Kutulin episode. That episode's fantastic. Back to the show. Okay, so the next segment I want to get into is definitely more serious. I do think it's be something very, very helpful to anyone out there who wants to travel the world and become a digital nomad, but they don't know how to. And so we have a couple different routes you can do. So you can become a remote worker, which is what you do, or you can build your own business, or you can be rich.
Yeah. I prefer the third option, but unfortunately I haven't gotten there yet.
Or you have daddy's money, but that's not what this is about. So I really
daddy's money would be nice, but
yeah. So I really glad to have you on for this because you've experienced both. I've only worked in restaurants, which you have too actually. Worked in restaurants, go and travel for like a couple months, come back broke, probably sleep on someone's couch, and then have to start it all over again in the process. So we both probably experienced that. And I know a lot of people think that's the only way you can travel. But when we were in Lisbon together, I had my own business. I have my own business, but you had a remote job and then you got laid off this summer. So I want to talk about that. How did that make you feel?
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I got laid off. I'm without a job. And I think it didn't hit me right away because I remember me and you talked and you're like, if you need to take some time, take some space. And I was just like, oh, no, I'm good. I kind of saw it coming. Like it was time. I wanted to start my own business. Then it hit me like a couple months later, like, holy shit, I don't have an income. Because I think like the first few months, you still have some savings. Like, I'm good. I have some time to figure this out. And then you're like, oh my God, I got to do something or else I'm never going to be able to travel again. That's when it hit me, when I couldn't travel.
And you were back home in Florida.
I was like, ah.
Are back home in Florida.
Yeah, back home in Florida. I think being in Florida has really altered my reality. Not in a good or bad way. It's just, I forget that people are like this here, you know, because usually I'm here 2-3 months and then I'd go off somewhere else and I experience different culture, different language, different ways of thinking. And then I come back and I'm just like, you know, people don't really know what's out there. And sometimes it is kind of hard to relate to people 100%, here.
100%.
So that was hard. Starting a business is hard. That's a whole nother topic of discussion. Because that's what I decided to do after I lost my job. I was like, okay, let me start my own design business. So I do like web design, graphic design, branding.
AKA she did my whole brand. So if you've been following me for years, you've seen me change my brand like 90 times. And if you see why it's been consistent the past year or so, it's because I hired Andrea and she killed it in my branding. Like, I just want to give you like your flowers right now. Like, I have been struggling to put out into the world like what I see in my head. And like, you got it like so fucking quickly. And so the brand looks amazing because of you. Yeah, you're very talented.
Thank you. Thank you so much. But yeah, no, I can help you out with that. If anybody needs help with that, that is what I do full time now. So hopefully this will continue on and take off. I've been really busy, actually, really busy. So hopefully that translates into dollars that I need to get back to traveling.
I do want to pause right here because I want to go back to the remote job thing because a lot of people are like hunting for a remote job. They're like, I want a remote job. I want a remote job. First of all, A, how do you find a remote job? To people who are like, I don't want the business stuff. I want a remote job. B, do you think it's actually that secure considering you've been fired? Not like you did anything wrong. Businesses make cuts and then they let go of people. So how did you find a remote job and then like to give advice to people? And then do you think that's the best route, really?
I think it might be the best route for someone who's first starting off as a nomad because it gives you the consistency and the income. But I wouldn't say to like get all comfy and settled in it because like you said, companies let people go. There's layoffs, there's cutbacks, you know, you're never going to be fully secure 100% in anything you do. And I think as a business owner, it's kind of the same. Like you never know when your next paycheck is coming. But I feel like there also is that stigma of like, well, just get a job. It's more secure to be employed. It's really not. I think they're both kind of the same on the uncertainty level. But for me, it was nice just because I was starting off and I needed to just have a consistent income and know that while I'm traveling, I'm not going to run out of money because that was the case for so long when I was waitressing, saving up, going to travel till I ran out and then came back poor. So it was a nice switch up from that. It gave me some sort of peace of mind. Downsides, though, I had to be on a certain schedule every day, and that didn't always translate well with time zones. I had to be available on the Eastern time, 9 to 5, which is in Europe, it's fine, I guess. If you're traveling, it's only about 5 to 6 hours difference. So you're more working from afternoon to night.
But you're missing out on when everyone's going out.
I'm missing out on the group dinners. I'm missing out on the nights out. I mean, maybe if an event lasts really late and it goes up to like midnight, I could join in. But it sucks because dinner is such a moment in Europe. People really like it's the main meal. It's when everybody gets together and gets to have a glass of wine and wind down for the day. And I had to miss out on a lot of that because I was working. Plus side is you have your mornings to get all your stuff done, which is fine because I could wake up late if I wanted to and just have a slow morning. Love a slow morning. See, I could never be where you are, though, because if I wanted to go to Asia so bad. But because of the time zone, I wasn't able to. Because if I were to do that, then my day would be flipped. Like I would just have to work straight through the night. And then morning, I just have to sleep all day, which just sucks because sometimes we want to do stuff.
I have friends here currently that are doing like Europe and America time zones. And they Monday through Friday, they work at night and they're missing on the pub night. They're missing on dinners. And then they're too tired. We can't even hang out during the day. So like, yeah, they get to travel, but their time constraint is they get only to see the country like on the weekends, literally on the weekends. So I think that's a huge con of working with a remote job. Most likely you are on a time schedule with someone, and that's fair. You're working for their business and their business is in that time zone. Like you can't complain. Like that's the job. It's a job. You're choosing to do that. But like, let's say someone that still doesn't deter someone. How can they find a remote job? Because I personally found it so fucking hard to find a remote job, while building a business to me was easier. So what's your opinion? How do you find a remote job?
I don't know. I think it sort of fell on my lap. So maybe that's why I think it was easy. I honestly, people ask me like, where do you go for these secret remote jobs? And I'm just like, LinkedIn. Like it's really, I don't know, LinkedIn. That's where I got my last one. I just like searched with the remote only filter. But beware of that because even though a lot of jobs say they're remote, they're usually hybrid. So I had to be really picky about that. Like any job that was hybrid, I was automatically like, no. Granted, there are more hybrid opportunities than remote opportunities, but I was just really picky because I knew that I wanted to travel. And I knew hybrid would not allow me to travel the way I wanted to travel, which was more long term. I'm guessing like if you want to go away for a weekend and just want to spend just like a week in Mexico or something, like you can work the days around to where you have a couple of days off, work from home, and you can make it happen. I know people who do that, but I wanted to travel long term. So I knew that wasn't going to work for me. So I had to be very, very picky. And more often than not, I was throwing away like or discarding more options than I was saying like, yes, I'll apply to this one too. And I guess that's a bit frustrating when you're going through the job process because I'm like, oh, I read through this amazing position. And then I'm like, oh, wait, I have to go to the office Monday and Friday. Not going to work.
Yeah. And then I think another thing is that's like the most sought out job now is remote, especially since we all just did COVID a couple years ago. And the fuck you think I'm going to come into an office? So I think even people who aren't even want to be digital nomads, they want the remote job. They want they tasted the freedom and now they're back in restraints. When it comes to remote jobs, like you are competing against so many people. And when you have your own business, sorry to just keep advocating this, but like when you have your own business, like there's an abundance of clients and you can like, no one's really your competition because you're the only person that can give your kind of service. So people are going to want to just to work with you. I do want to get into like the business stuff now because like you can definitely find a remote job. I think there's really, really high competition. And unless like you have like that resume, you're a corporate bitch. Like I feel like I've never been a corporate girly. My God, that shit was hard. I could not. I just, no one wanted me. And I was like, I get it. Like,
you say fuck too often to like
listen,
be in
I worked in an
world.
office. I did work in an office for 7 months and I was miserable. So I want to get into like the business part. So I feel like my opinion with it, starting a business is very hard. You're pushing up a rock up a hill and then the rock keeps rolling down on you. It's like that Greek mythology thing I can't think of right now. It kind of is similar like that with remote jobs too. Finding a remote job is also very, very difficult. But once you land the job, everything's kind of set up for you. You got a boss, you got HR. There's like sign-ons, blah, blah. The thing that you'll never get with a remote job is that really strong mindset building that you're going to have as an entrepreneur that's going to take you so much further in life. So I want to get into like, you're now pushing the rock up the hill and I've already have the rock over the hill and I feel very stable in my business. You're pushing the rock up the hill. Talk about that.
Yes, starting is definitely the hardest part. I think it's because like there's no structure set up for you when you start a business. When you go into corporate, like the workflow, the procedures are already there. You just got to follow them. You don't even have to really think as hard as you do than when you're a business owner. And that's kind of one of the cool things, that when you're starting, I realize my brain is so much more active now than it was when I was working as an employee, because I had to figure a lot of shit out on my own. I had to figure out my marketing. I had to figure out my posting schedule, my contracts, my invoicing system, everything. Everything is all on me. And yeah, that is a lot of extra work. Once you have those systems set up though, and you get the hang of it, it's easy once you have it down. But it's just the starting that's the hard part. And usually having that come at you all at once is really overwhelming for people. I have days as well where I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, I should have just gotten another job. I actually had a day like that yesterday, and I actually browsed around for other jobs.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think what I'm doing is the right thing for me, because I was craving more freedom in my day. Like, it's nice to be able to tell myself, like, yeah, today I'm going to work a 12-hour day, but tomorrow I'm taking the whole day off and I'm going on a boat. Like, I'm not I'm not answering emails. I'm telling my clients to fuck off. Gently.
Nicely.
Gently telling them to fuck off, and then taking the day off. Or if I want to go for a midday like gym session because I feel the energy to right now and I just need to run, like I can go for that. That's something I never had when I had a remote job. And even more so while traveling, which was the most frustrating part, is like the FOMO of it all, seeing everybody go off to like dinner or go off to their reunions or parties or whatever. And I'm
literally
like,
working.
Stay back and work. So I think that freedom is priceless, and it's worth all the headache of it. I think if a lot of people quit in this beginning phase because of how hard it is, but they're just a step away from like that consistent success. Once you get that consistent client base, you get your name out there, it's pretty, I don't want to say easy because it always comes up with new challenges, but it's easy in the sense that like you have the freedom and you have the stability that you had in your regular corporate employee job.
So something you'll like learn when you're starting a business is everything's a reflection of you. So like if your business is failing, you can only really look at yourself. Okay, like what's the work ethic that I'm putting in? Okay, what's the strategies I'm putting in? Like what's the energy I'm putting out? You know, like everything comes back to you. So it's the biggest mirror. It's the biggest fucking mirror. And this translates into every part of your life. Ever since I've had my business, I'm seriously the most confident I've ever been. I'm very firm with my boundaries now when I never had boundaries before. I let people walk all over me until I have my business. And you'll see people drop out of your life the minute you start having boundaries, I'll say. I just am like my best self because of this. But it was, the first year, hard. Ups and downs.
Definitely a confidence booster to say you own your own business. When I walk into like these networking meetings and I'm like, yeah, I'm a business owner. You know how powerful I freaking feel? They don't need to know how small my business is. They just know you know, I'm the boss.
Exactly. And something I would suggest, well, you're not doing this, but I hired a coach. Specifically, her name's Krista. Her program's called the Digital Nomad Life Academy. And there's a lot of people that do this job, okay? But like she has something, that's her calling on this earth, is to help people find their passion and to create a remote job out of it. I don't know how I could have done it without a coach. You have to go through money mindset. You have to like go through all like maybe you had some stuff with childhood on like confidence or money or boundaries or all this stuff. So like a lot of your shadows are going to come up a lot. And so you have to, even if you don't have a coach, you need to make sure you're surrounding yourself by other entrepreneurs. You have your journal ready. And like, I think with the coach, you can expedite it. That's not a word. You can speed it up to about a 3 to 6 month business launch. I think without a coach, it'll probably take a year, honestly.
Yeah, honestly, I think I should have invested in one because like you said, owning your own business is the biggest mirror you'll hold up to yourself. You have no one. I have seen people blame others, blame oh, this is just my client. He's so dumb and he's so complicated. No, honestly, everything kind of comes back to you when it's your business and it's just you. I think I would have honestly drowned had I not surrounded myself with other entrepreneurs. And I got lucky because not everybody has this many entrepreneurs in their circle. I just got really cool friends, and I got really cool friends by traveling around and meeting cool people like you, like Laura, like Ricky, all who like have or are starting their own businesses with the intention of traveling. So because I'm seeing it so much in my circle, it doesn't seem like such a weird thing to me. Versus like when I kind of stepped out of this entrepreneur circle and I'm around like just, you know, Florida people that are around me that have their normal jobs, they think I'm weird. They think I'm crazy. I was like, what do you mean? You gotta ground yourself, come back to earth. They don't all say I need a stable job and like be here, but they tell me like, you at least need to be in one place. You can't be hopping around and having a business. I was like, you totally can. I know like 5 other people who do that. Like, don't tell me I can't do it because I'll just go.
There's a whole world of people doing that. But the thing is, like, people only know their surroundings. So those people have never left Florida. And if they go to Florida, they might go to Vegas. Like, that's their world. You know, the Florida to Miami to Vegas. Maybe they go to Caribbean on a cruise ship. Like, they don't. Okay. Really, really big advice, I think, right here is like, do you want these people's lives? And if the answer is yes, then listen to them. If you don't, you have to move it across your shoulder and then redirect yourself. Be like, who are people I actually want their life? Then talk to them. Go talk to people like my coach, Krista. Go talk to people like our friend Deani or me. Or like, yeah, y'all can always DM me like about this stuff. Like, talk to people like me who are living the life that you want. Don't listen to these people who have a big house and they have their big cars and they go to Florida for vacation. You know, that's fine. But that's not even the life you want. So I understand. I understand. Like you probably feel very on the hard days. It feels extra hard because where you are.
Yeah, it feels hard because I don't have people who want the same lifestyle as me living close to me. Because those people are also traveling.
I bet there's so many listeners right now that feel that. Because like I see where all the listenership is, and there's somewhere like some kind of small towns, and I bet your ass all these people think you're crazy for wanting to travel, or even worse, wanting to work and travel.
Oh, yes. Small towns are probably the worst for that because, I mean, I live in Florida, but I'm nowhere near like one of the big cities like Miami. I think the closest big city to me is like Tampa. So here, I think there's just like a lot of retirees, a lot of people like from like my high school are buying homes now or getting married or having kids. And I guess I'm weird because I didn't want that. Of course, I do want that eventually. Just not right now.
Yeah.
Right now, I just kind of want to go off and be a little Mongolian nomad around the world.
Exactly. I just know it's super hard. So in my first year in business, I lost 2 out of 3 clients last year when I was in LA. Very, very expensive city to lose that. And I went home. I went home for 6 months to Alabama and I sat my ass down. I did exactly what you're doing. And I worked on my business. I didn't do shit. And I worked on my business. So like, I will, again, bringing it back, I think it'll take a full year to get like full stability, but I do want to like break that myth that having your own business is not stable. Again, it's all a reflection to you. If you don't feel like you have a lot of worth, if you're not very confident, you're going to charge low prices, you're going to work out of scarcity, and you're going to have a very unsuccessful business, and you're going to be broke, and you're not going to have good clients, and you're not going to have consistent money. But especially once you get in the entrepreneurial world and you get around successful people, these people are making fucking bank because there's no cap to your income. You as a website designer, you could charge $100 for a website. You could charge $10,000 for a website. That all comes down to you. So you get to determine how stable you want your business, and you can't blame anyone else. So I really think there's a huge myth with the freelancer thing that it's unstable. It really comes back down to you. And it comes back down to the mindset work. And I will say, like, it's my second year. My business feels very stable. I've never felt so stable. When I worked in corporate or restaurants, my money was fluctuating. But it takes a lot of time to get to that mindset where you can create a stable business. It's like a sprint versus a marathon. It's a marathon, but like you win so much more.
Yes, that's a great way to put it together. I had a huge reality check the other day when I was like looking at other designers' works. And it's not always good to play the comparison game, but sometimes you need to just see it to know where you're at in your journey. I saw somebody charging almost 5 times the amount that I charge for a website. Like they were just charging like $7,000 for a website that looked like it was made by a kindergartner. Really? I kid you not. It was bad. I was like, you're charging $7,000 for this? Their design skills may be lacking, but I want these this person's balls. Like, I really want to have that kind of balls. Just be like, yeah, 5,000 for a website. My guy starts at 5,000.
Yeah. And that's going to,
and that's the lowest.
Yeah, that's going to take some like confidence and confidence journaling, value journaling, worth journaling. Yeah. Just a lot of like inner work for you to charge that 7,000. But like, again, your income is uncapped. So just to like break this all down for everyone, like if you want to become a digital nomad, you don't want to just backpack and like go back to the restaurant and then backpack, go back to the restaurants, like and stay in broke ass hostels and even get bed bugs sometimes, like I have before. Yeah, so you have two routes. You can do the remote work. Depending on your resume, it could be quite easy for you. But just know they might fire your ass at any point, like Andrea when she was in Lisbon, dead of summer. Or you could be like me. I went out of my way and hired a coach. I invested. I want to pause this for a second. If you're like, I don't have money for a coach, hold the fuck up. I was the brokest I've ever been in my life. I was making $1,200 a month bussing tables at this shitty restaurant in Nashville. I was living at my friend's house. She was letting me live there for free because, I have the game to like leave in 6 months and build a business. Thank you, Danny. She's incredible. I made $1,200 a month. I paid my coach $1,200 a month for 6 months. So I was hitting even. So I had to do like Uber Eats to make up just to have money for gas, to do the Uber Eats, to get groceries. There was a point where I was crying because I couldn't leave the house because I couldn't have money. And I had to call my friend to borrow money. And I still invested in a coach. I made all my money back 3 months in. And then I made the same money I was making in the corporate job and more 5 months in. That's from a coach. I think if you're a freelancer and you're listening to my story, you feel like you're going to compare yourself. I was working with a coach and I didn't leave the house besides working on my business. So there's paces to do it. You don't have to have a coach, but I just know it might take a lot longer if you don't invest in one. Okay, I just want to take a second and actually talk about my coach, Krista, from the Digital Nomad Life Academy. Like, when you think in your life how you made one monumental decision, you didn't know it was that big of a decision at the moment, or you met this one monumental person and it's changed the trajectory of your life. That is 100% Krista and her program. She is a business coach where she teaches you how to make money online through your passions. And so not just like teaching you how to like just be a graphic designer or to do like drop shipping or just stuff that makes you make money quickly. She teaches you how to make a sustainable business based off the skills you have or a passion you have. And I don't know where I would be if I didn't invest in that program. I hope to God I wouldn't still be working in restaurants. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I've just been in restaurants since I was 15 and was burnt out. I know I was never made for corporate because you don't get any time off and I am not corporate material. She changed my life. And she's not just a business coach. She's a mindset coach too. Like my mindset has changed so much about money, confidence, boundaries, and she just has a gift. She just has a gift. And my life is forever changed since then. I've traveled the world and I've been getting paid and I've been making the same money and soon to be more money than I was working at the corporate job. So if you're curious about Krista in her program, her podcast is called the Digital Nomad Life Academy. And she also has a free masterclass, which is really good. I'll put in the show notes, but I will put in a disclosure that you do need to be ready. She will not take people who just kind of want to maybe change their life. Like you need to be ready to take action because it is a lot of work. It is a lot of work and the program takes a lot out of you emotionally. I set 6 months aside and like just put all my energy into that. And I leaned on friends who could help me in that time period where, I did invest a lot of money in her program, but I made it all back 3 months in. So if you're ready and when you're ready, and if there's something you want, I highly recommend her program or just check out her podcast.
Yeah, work-life balance really does go out the window when you're starting a business. I will say that. I'm talking about the freedom of time and everything. Just know that that's not going to happen right away. At least it didn't for you, I don't think, and it's definitely not for me. I probably work now more than I did when I was at my corporate job, but I know that's not forever. No. I know this is just me setting up the systems and trying to get the hang of things. And I'm already with the mindset of like, I need to build systems so that when I do bring other people on, maybe like a junior designer or a VA, that everything's documented and they can easily pick up the work and take it on for me. Because I've also seen the mistake a lot of other entrepreneurs make that when they start their business, they don't have the systems in place to hand it off to other people, and the business can't run without them. So the business is totally reliant on whether they can go to work, and if they don't go to work, the business
100%.
can't run.
Yeah, I'm working on that in my year 2. That's that next step. But yeah, eventually you'll get to the point where like the business is running for you and you're just taking in the cash. But again, that's like year 3, 4. Just know like these are your possibilities. If you go down that route, you're going to have to sacrifice for the little bit, but you win so much more. So like my last question to wrap this section up is, let's imagine it. Your business is thriving. You're making X amount a month stably, which is in your future. Where are you going first in your travels?
Oh, that's a hard question. But I honestly, again, going back to Asia, because I've been dying to go ever since I started remote work and traveling, and I couldn't go because of my job. I want to go back to Asia. Japan has been on my list to go back for the longest time. Not just because I studied abroad there, but because I have friends who are still there. And there's just so much I didn't get to explore while I was there as well. Like, I was there a semester, so that is not nearly enough time. And then I went back a second time, and stuff happened.
Yeah.
So I didn't really get to explore as much as I wanted to. But I want to explore Japan and then hop on over to Korea, which is what you're doing. You lucky bitch. I'm so jealous.
I'm so excited.
But no, I want to do Korea as well. So like do the little Japan, Korea, maybe hop on over to Thailand, because Thailand was also really fun last time.
Love Thailand. Yeah. And that's the thing, once you're in business, you can make your own hours. Like right now, I have a client that said she wanted to have a meeting at 11. And I was like, no. Because it's 11 p.m. here, and my brain's not going to work, and it's a no. And it's because when you, just real quick, last thing on this business thing, when it's your own business, like it's not like you have a boss, it's equal. You can fire them and they can fire you. You are not ever working for someone. So you can make your own rules. And so again, it comes back down to the confidence thing to it, because you can let people run you over if you wanted to. But okay, so I do want to get into your travel story. Speaking of Japan, yeah, let's get into it. What's a travel story?
Oh, gosh. I'm like the one study abroad kid that went on study abroad and won't. But here we are. Here we are chatting about it. Is this, if you have the chance to study abroad ever in your life, do it. I don't care where it is. Just fucking go. Just go. Because there is something about stepping outside of your circle and going somewhere where everything is completely different. As you're in this phase of coming out into the world, that gives you so much confidence, and it changes your whole reality and perspective on life. And I feel like it's just such a moment. It's such an experience. I can't really put it into words. I can try, but it's just a moment that exists outside of your normal reality. So I went to study abroad around 2017, and I picked Japan because I had always had a fascination with like Asian culture, and I just thought the Japanese language was so cool, and I got to study it a little bit before I went, and it was a real eye-opener. I also went to this very rural town called Akita.
Is that where the Shiba's from?
It's like in the north. Yes, that's where the Shiba's from.
Shiba's, okay.
You know, that was our school mascot, the Shiba.
Shiba's, okay. That's amazing.
They're adorable. It's like they're more in the north. They're very kind of isolated. There's not a lot of big cities around. And honestly, when I got there, I was like, I'm like in the middle of the woods and rice fields. Like there is nothing here. This is gonna be so boring, because I had landed in Tokyo and spent a week in like Tokyo, Osaka. And then I went to my school in Akita, and I was like, where am I? What am I doing?
Take me to Tokyo.
Take me back. This is not what I signed up for. Turns out it was actually the funnest time ever, because, it was small. But the school in itself was pretty special because it was an international school. So it wasn't just Japanese people. I got to meet people from all over the world. And you put that many good-looking young foreign kids in one school, shit's about to be a party. We had one bar that we could go to. And that was it, because that was all that was in walking distance Other than that, you would have to take the one bus route that goes into town. And if you went into town, you had to commit to staying out all night till the buses started running again. So it was one of two things. You either went to the local pub where, you know, you were going to see all your friends and everybody was going to be, or you gathered a group of friends, you went into town and you just committed for the night because you really had to commit. I'm telling you, like, if not, if you get tired midway through, you're going to go sleep in a park. Because you're not coming back to the school until the morning. But honestly, if it's going to happen anywhere, Japan's a pretty safe place to do it. Especially Akita, that's like so chill. I mean, we did it and we were fine. People don't bother you there. But yeah, no, it was a fun time. It was also the first time I've ever had a travel love. I fell in love on this study abroad.
Wow, in Japan.
With a cute little French man. And it was because of that love that after I finished my semester, I was like, I have to go back. I have to go see him. We were doing long distance. You know, long distance is hard. For anyone that does long distance, my freaking respects.
I'm about to do that. Yeah.
You are?
Just real quick. Yeah, me and Ollie, we had to take like 3 months off because we're going to go see each other's families and friends.
Good luck.
Yeah.
I don't want this to sound super discouraging. I'm just saying, like, for me, it was the hardest thing I had ever done. And I had been in that relationship for like 4.5 years. So the fact that I had kept it going that long was already pretty impressive to me because we had COVID during that time as well.
Whoa.
Kid you not, for like about 2 years, I think I saw him all of 2 times.
No, it won't be like that. Yo, that's crazy. No. That's a pen pal.
Yeah.
That ain't no fucking boyfriend. That's a fucking pen pal. That's crazy.
Honestly, I don't know how I did it. If I were to go back and like I had the option to do it all again, to relive that experience, yes. But if try it with somebody new, I probably wouldn't put myself through the pain and suffering. Yeah. Unless it was like a two month, I could do a 2-month break. 2-month break is fine. I feel like 2 months in the span of your life is such a short amount of time. But freaking 2 years? Sorry.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I was a crazy girl back then. I was full of love and romance. As one is when you first enter into a travel romance. I know you just talked to Cassie in your last episode and like the naivety that comes with the first time that you fall in love while traveling is unmatched because you'll never match the first time you fell in love abroad.
If you want to learn more about how to travel and date as a backpacker or a digital nomad, definitely check out Cassie's episode. It's a couple episodes back. We talk about how to avoid heartbreak while you're abroad or how to not break other people's hearts and how to communicate even in travel flings. Even if it's just like a weekend hostel fling, you should definitely still be communicating your needs. We talk about how to date long distance or within different cultures. And so many people reached out to me after that episode because there's so many intricacies and complications that you can have with travel and romance if you don't kind of know the rules or you don't know how to communicate. It can get messy. And so this episode is to help you avoid that messiness. So definitely check out the episode. I believe it's called How to Date as a Digital Nomad, the ultimate dating guide for travelers. So definitely check that out if you are in need of that episode.
So this Frenchman and I had this tearful, K-drama-esque goodbye at the airport. I'm talking full-on drama, tears, whatever. We said goodbye for a few months, and then I came back to visit him. And it was so nice to see all my old friends who were still there for like a year, to see him, of course. And I got thrown this epic welcome back party. And we rented our little club room because clubs are taken very seriously in schools in Japan. So clubs, oh yeah, it's like a cult. Like, I think I joined a few in the beginning of the year and then I had to like step away because I'm like, this is intense. I'm just here for a semester. I'm not out here trying to do like hazing and like drink sake out of a shoe.
Fraternities and sororities,
like I'm not.
kind of.
Yes, that's what it's like. And there was this one club at our school who was infamous for that, which is the Kanto Club. And they practice this traditional Japanese art of like balancing this huge pole on one hand. And this pole also has a million lanterns hanging off of it. And there's different roles in this tradition. Like there's the one that's balancing, and then there's the one playing the drums, and then there's the one playing the flute. But when I'm talking like these are huge, massive poles, I'm talking like these are taller than the building that you're in. It's nuts. But anyways, this club in particular was known for being the cultiest. And there's like this whole like senpai kohai relationship where your senpai is like your elder. It could be elder in age or like elder in like year, like if they're a year above you. And you have to do whatever your senpai tells you to do. And then as a senpai, you have to kind of take care of your kohais as well. But you can also make them drink like ridiculous amounts of alcohol and they'll have to do what you say. So it's like a weird relationship thing. Anyways, I got sidetracked. I got back. We rented out a club room. We got to drinking in this little club room. And that was just a pregame. Then after we all got good and happy, we went over to the local bar because there was literally just that one. And I was having too much of a good time. Too much of a good time. I will say the drinking culture in Japan is not the healthiest for your liver. So I got there. I was already pretty drunk. And I started messing around with some friends. And I don't know why in my drunk brain, I started jumping over people's backs, like leapfrogging almost. Mind you, I was in high heels. And the first time I jumped,
amazing. Should have stopped there.
The landing. Should have stopped while I was ahead. Then they told me to do it again. And I was like, well, I'm feeling confident because I'm
a bad bitch. I'll jump over your back.
I'm a bad bitch. I did it once. I can do it again. Did it again. This time, did not stick the landing, twisted my ankle, and fell to the floor. But because I was drunk, I did not realize that I had just fractured my ankle.
Fractured.
I didn't feel it. I didn't feel it. It was a fracture, but it could have easily been a break because the way I kept trying to stand up and walk, and then every time I stood up, my ankle would just give away, and I was just like trying again to stand up, fall again. Eventually, someone grabbed my French boyfriend from the bar. Was like, "Your girlfriend can't stand up," and he came, picked me up, put me on a chair, and I was like,
"How romantic."
Fine, let's not. Yeah. Fine, you guys, let's keep going. And he's like, no, you need to go home. I was like, nah, don't be such a party pooper. Anyways, he got the owner of the bar to drive us back to the student apartments, which is literally right down the road, but I could not walk. So that's what I had to do. And then I was like, it's just a sprained ankle. I'll be fine. Meanwhile, my ankle was swelling to the size of a literal potato. It was the most, I wish I still had a picture because it was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life. It looked like a fat man's foot. So I just had to lay there and had to call it a night. And the next morning, I still had gaslighted myself that this was just a sprain. Obviously, next morning it hurt a lot more than it did the night before. I realized I couldn't walk, but I was like, I'll just rest. It'll be fine. I have to go home in a week.
Shit.
I cannot not walk. Yeah, like it was cutting it pretty close. On top of the fact that this is around the time that I was still working restaurant jobs. So when I got home, I needed to be able to walk.
And work.
To work. So, 3 days went by. The fat man's foot was not going away. So we had to come to the conclusion that this was a broken ankle.
Oh, no. Oh,
yeah.
God.
Yeah. And I'm in this rural town in Akita. The closest hospital is definitely a drive away. Luckily, I had friends, and those friends had Japanese parents who were more responsible than I and took me to all my doctor's appointments and spoke Japanese and helped me out. And it was nice because I had the support there. My family on this side of the country was freaking the fuck out because they're like, what the hell happened? Why can't you come home? And having to explain that to mom and dad was not an easy conversation.
You have to change your flight?
Oh, yeah. There's no way I could walk.
Shit.
I had to have... Okay, when I got to the doctor, this is all translated, but basically he told me, you have two options. I could put a cast on you, and this could take about a month.
Oh my God.
I was like, oh no, I'm so broke already, and I need to go home and work. What's option number 2, doc? He said, we could operate on you, and we'll put like a little piece of metal right in between where the fracture is, and that'll kind of bind it together so it'll heal together no matter what. You can walk on it after a week. Just be very gentle.
Okay. Why would I
was like,
ever
all
go
right,
with
doc.
option number 1? That sounds great.
Sign me up. I don't see a negative to this. Let's go. And then also there's the question of having no insurance. That was a little bit of a sticky moment. But when we did all the calculations, it was still cheaper for me to have an operation, be in the hospital for 3 days, and have a follow-up checkup appointment in Japan with no insurance than it would be to get all that done in the States with insurance.
Actually fucking insane.
So that's how I kind of explained it to my parents. You know, if I was going to break my ankle anywhere, aren't you happy that it was here? You should be thanking me. No. They did not buy into it, but whatever. Like, it was still cheaper to get it all done there. So I went ahead and did the operation. And because I was so broke already, the doctor gave me 2 options. He said, we can put you under completely, or we can just do local anesthetic, which was cheaper. So, of course, my cheap ass went with that option.
Oof. Okay.
However, as I was on the operating table, the feeling came back. The feeling came back mid-operation because I was fully awake for this. I was fully awake for this. First of all, they didn't numb me enough. I think it's because maybe compared to a Japanese person, my weight and distribution is probably a little bit more. So maybe they didn't calculate the amount of local anesthetic that they would fully need for me not to feel anything in my leg. But with my very limited Japanese, I told the nurse, like, it hurts. It hurts. And that's the only thing I really knew how to say in Japanese, because I had not gone to the chapter of how do I explain to my doctor that I feel like dying in my Japanese textbook. So,
hey, the anesthesia's not working. Translate that.
The anesthesia. I didn't know complicated words like that.
What chapter is that? Doc, the anesthesia's not working. That's chapter 11. You should have kept going.
Yeah, I was probably on chapter 2 of that. So all I could say is, itai, it hurts. It hurts. And the nurse was like, it's okay.
See, that's such a cute word.
Hugged me.
That's too cute of a word to be like, holy shit, you're operating on my leg. I can feel it.
Right? I should have screamed it or something because, like, I don't think they realized the level of pain I was in.
Like, she's speaking
as I
Japanese.
had one tear rolling down my eye. I was like, itai.
Oh my God, they're like, she's so cute. Look at her speaking Japanese.
Yeah. Look at her trying to practice her Japanese. As I was dying on the operating table.
You and me are different. I would have been slapping a nurse, be like, you now stop now. Give me the drugs.
Yeah, I probably should have been more aggressive about it.
What did it like? What was the pain like? Like 1 through 10?
Oh my gosh, definitely 9.5.
Fuck.
It was the worst pain I ever felt in my life. Not to mention like the psychological trauma of like hearing the sawing and of my bone and everything because I was awake. Big mistake. I'll never, next time I ever have that option, I'll just say, put me under. I don't want to feel a thing. Because maybe you're not feeling it right in that moment because in the beginning, the anesthetic was feeling a little bit stronger. But it was the hearing of it that like fucked me up mentally.
Oh my God. You're so, kudos to you.
But hey, you know what? I've also heard stories of people who have gone under but are like somewhat still conscious. But their bodies aren't moving. Like they can't, like physically paralysis. They can't react, but their mind is awake. It's almost, it's like sleep paralysis, but with anesthesia. I've heard stories like that. So I feel like that's even worse because then I couldn't even say, itai. They would just, keep going away, sawing away at my leg.
Peaceful. She's asleep. Holy shit.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Granted, worst medical experience of my life. But I recovered pretty quickly because after 1 week, I could walk. And even that didn't stop me, because even in like the meantime of like me scheduling the operation and like having to just lay around on a wheelchair, they would still roll me into the bar in the wheelchair. Still showed up at the same pub the next day. Hey guys, what's up? People would like sit me down on the benches next to them, and we would all drink together. And then they take my wheelchair and do like wheelies on it.
Great. Then they break their leg, and then it's a whole cycle. No, everyone's in a wheelchair.
It's crazy to think about it now that I didn't fully register how serious everything was, because I was literally in the bar the next day hanging out with friends. Even the doctors, like after I finally like admitted like this is more than just a sprain, and I went to them, they gave me pain meds and everything. They're like, I don't know how you have gone like almost 5 days with no painkillers. You must hurt every time, because every time I flinched and my leg moved even a little bit, it would hurt. I had like the pain tolerance to go through that without pain meds, but I barely took any pain meds.
Well, because you were broke. By the time
they gave me pain meds. Well, yeah, I was broke. Yeah,
I think that.
Let's just say it. I had no money.
I think that was stronger than the pain. You're like,
yeah, honestly, it was that. In my delusion that it was all going to be fine. But yeah, painful story, painful lesson. I now learned that when I do go on long trips abroad, I should get medical insurance.
Yeah.
Because I had like the little, like the flight change was easy enough, because I had, I had signed up for that insurance that you do when you're like checking out for a flight, and you, like, do you want to add like $15 to have insurance? I'm like, yeah, sure. Why not? But that does not cover health expenses or extra expenses when you stay longer in a country.
Yeah.
I've now learned travel insurance. It doesn't hurt. It's better to have it and not use it than to like not have it and need it, because you never know how much that will add up in terms of like your stay, hospital. It really depends. And you know what? Any other country might be cheaper than the US for healthcare, but it will still cost a lot of money out of pocket.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very true. Anything's still cheaper than the US though. So that one.
So at least I, broke my ankle in the right country.
Yeah. Yeah. And you get to stay a little bit longer with your boo, which is nice.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Although it was kind of hard on him, because he had to wheel me around everywhere and I couldn't do a thing. I was just laying in bed like a sack of potatoes, and he had to take care of me.
He thought y'all were going to have like sexy time, you'd connect, and like now he's just taking care of
it's time for you to be a nurse. Time for you to wheel me to the bathroom.
Holy shit. Whoa. Oh my God. I don't even know what to say. I feel like I'm impressed by your jumping skills, and I'm impressed by mainly your pain tolerance level. Yeah. Well, to end, you have so many things to shout out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What do you want to shout out? You have a lot.
Okay. Well, if you ever want to follow my chaotic travels, I do have a travel page on Instagram and a podcast called Wanderworking. It's mostly called that because I do get lost half the time. So wandering is the only thing I am able to do. I don't travel with purpose. I just happen upon places.
And it's wander. How do you spell wander? Because it's different.
It's wander without the E.
Yeah.
So wander working without the E in wander. And I haven't posted a lot on the podcast recently, but I'm planning to come back to it and share this new phase of my journey, which is the entrepreneurship side of being a digital nomad. Because I've talked a lot about it, the remote work side. Now I get to talk about starting a business. So I'm slowly gathering up content for that to come back for a third season. So you can check that out. And you can follow my design business, which is Marve Creative Studios. And if you need design work, feel free to contact me on there. Follow my Instagram page, Marve CS. And I can take care of your branding for you to make you look as cool as Marie.
Mm-hmm.
Do your websites. I could do graphics for you. Anything you like.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll have all that in the show notes because, yeah, it's just easy to find you there. And then maybe any last advice or tips for anyone who's like kind of in your position, kind of feeling the same way, like they're working hard to like find that remote job or to start their business. And yeah, they want to travel. Like any like one-on-one advice to them if they're kind of having a hard day.
Oh, if you're having a hard day, just manage your expectations in terms of how long it takes for you to get there. Because for me, I was really impatient. I was frustrated that I didn't have a remote job within the first 2 months of looking for a remote job. Honestly, it's been almost a 2-year buildup for me to have this job, because first I had to learn the skills, then I had to search for a job, didn't get any, made my portfolio better, kept searching, finally got it. So this is where I feel like a lot of people's frustration comes from, is how long it truly takes. Don't give up. Stick with it. Stick with it to the end, because the people that I've seen not be able to achieve this are the people who quit too early.
100%. And blame others usually too. Like, yeah. And the thing is, like, look around. There's plenty of proof that you can do it. I remember I used to believe, like, when I worked in restaurants in LA, I was like, oh my God, how do these people work online? Like, the people had their little computers out at the fancy restaurant I worked at. And I was bitter. I can't lie. I was like, fuck you guys. Like, I'm sweating my balls off and you're just drinking your little coffee. And now that's me. I'm the girl who's drinking the coffee at the fancy restaurant.
Exactly.
Again, I didn't understand
I think
that.
It just helps.
Yeah. I didn't
It helps to have people who are doing that in your circle.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so glad I met you.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I met all the other cool traveling people who do the same thing. Don't be bitter about that. Go up to those people. Say hi. Say, hey, what do you do for work? Like, I'm curious to know. And they might be able to help you out or just inspire you in general. Having those people around you that do what you want to do, even though that's not the norm in your hometown, is going to change the game for you. Because I can't tell you, honestly, how many times people told me I was crazy. And then I was like, well, my friend Marie does it.
Yeah.
My friend Laura does it.
Yeah.
So
actually,
I know several people who can do it. Why can't I?
Actually, I just was editing my client's podcast. My coach is my client, Krista. Her podcast is called The Digital Nomad Life. Whoa. Y'all need to be listening to that if this is actually something you want. But she just had on the founder of Nomad, the Nomad cruise. So essentially, this is a cruise that takes you from like point A to point B. Usually they just did Vancouver to Japan. They're doing like Spain to Greece or something this summer. Point is, the founder was saying he suggests that people who are not digital nomads to come onto the cruise, because he said that's how people get really, really inspired when you're surrounded by 200-300 other people who all have businesses online, and none of the businesses are the same usually. So whatever you can think of, someone already has a business. And then you're already creating a network of people that could probably work with you, partner with you, or just get you started. So I think if you don't want to invest in a coach, you could at least invest in the Nomad cruise and have a fun trip.
Yeah, then you get to drink with those nomads and party it up.
Yeah. And
like, where else would you meet so many nomads in one place?
And just meet people who are like 6-figure business owners, like that are like, oh, I've been in your place. And like, network, it really comes down to networking. If you want to like build a business, like, you will lean on that network hard, and that's a fun way to be inspired. So I will drop that about that. It's called the Nomad Cruise. Highly recommend my client's podcast, Digital Nomad Life. I'll put that in the show notes. So, okay, yeah, I'll have Andrea's stuff in the show notes for y'all to check out. I hope this was inspiring to y'all in so many ways, as in, like, don't get drunk at the bar and jump over people's backs. Say yes to the anesthesia. And yes, you can travel the world and get paid too. You're going to have to work. Let's just be honest.
Work your ass off.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Cheers, y'all. I hope this episode was helpful to anyone wanting to become a digital nomad or even deciding if you should study abroad. I mean, feel free to reach out to me. My Instagram is at culturecultshow. If you ever have questions on should you start your own business, how to, is it worth it? If it comes to remote jobs, I'm not your girl. I could not find a remote job for the life of me. It was very hard. But if it's anything business-wise, I can definitely help you. Or if you have your own business and you just want to rant and have another business friend, I'm your girl. Hit me up on Instagram at culturecultshow. I actually even have a second podcast called Entrepreneur Honestly, which I haven't even told you guys about, but now I am. Yeah, it's called Entrepreneur Honestly because I talk honestly what it's like being a freelancer, all the gritty bits, all the good bits, and just what it's really like. So if you are curious or if you need help in that area, definitely check out my second podcast called Entrepreneur Honestly. They're really bite-sized episodes. It's a good like morning walk kind of podcast. Okay, speaking of digital nomad, so I am currently in Korea right now. So I am on about the end of my trip. I've been traveling for I think 9 months straight now. Been to France, Portugal, Thailand, Australia, Indonesia, Vietnam, and now Korea, and I'm going to Japan too. Ooh, oh my God. That's crazy to say out loud. Yeah, I mean, Korea, I just went to Seoul. Seoul was really cool. I really, really digged Seoul. They say Seoul is like New York and LA is like Busan. I'm currently in Busan. I haven't been able to explore the city yet, but I am on the beach and it's beautiful. The town looks a little bit more touristy though than Seoul. Seoul was very local. I was with the locals there. So I'll have more information about Busan on my Korea episode. I have lots to talk about with Korea. It is such a cool country, but it's also maybe the most culture shock I've experienced. It's fun. It's very fun and funny. So I'll record an episode about Korea. But right now, yeah, I'm in Busan. And I'm eating freaking good because I love Korean food. Okay, so the next country we are covering on the podcast will be Denmark. It's going to be a lot of scandalous stories, good history stories, also the last country of this season. So that'll be fun. So that'll be the last country of the season, which is exciting. And last but not least, if you like the show, if you can leave an Apple review, because sometimes I feel like I'm just talking to myself, which technically I am. I'm talking to myself in my room right now. But like, let me know if you like the show or if it affects you or if you liked a certain story. Like hit me up on Instagram, or if it would be amazing if you leave an Apple review. And thank you to anyone who's ever left me an Apple review. I read every single one of them. They make me feel purposeful with the podcast because after 4 years, it is a bit tricky to keep going. I want to read out a recent review someone gave. Their username is Ariolano856. I think that's it. She or he said, loved your Zimbabwe UFO episode. Easy to tune in and listen to and learn a bunch of new stuff. She said, check out UFOs and Nukes by Robert Hastings. It gives a real and accurate sighting from military bases since the 1940s. Oh my God, that sounds so good. Mainly recommending that because of your skeptic friend, but happy you were willing to bring him on either way. She's talking about my boyfriend who's a huge skeptic on aliens. Or just in life and things. Can't wait to listen to more episodes. Well, thank you for leaving that review and also that really good recommendation. She said, check out UFOs and Nukes by Robert Hastings. Cool. Yay. Thank you. Little shout out to you there. Yeah. If you love the pod, leave me an Apple review. Would love that. And share this episode with a friend maybe who you think is also struggling on how to travel and get paid or just wants more freedom in their life. Definitely share this episode with them. And hopefully it'll impact them in a good way. All right. I hope y'all will have a fun week. I will see y'all next time in the Denmark series. Cheers, y'all.